thinking about my own experience, that I could sort of divide my life in half, And the first half, what I would call the hero's journey part of it, and I think this applies to everybody, is where you're just coming from, you don't know who the hell you are, what you want to do, and you finally sort of reach the point where you say, okay, I am an artist, or whatever it is. I am a writer, I am an entrepreneur, I am a dancer, whatever it is. And at that point, it's answering the question, who am I? What is my gift? And that's quite different from the hero's journey of thrashing around out in the real world, having love affairs and getting divorced and being into drugs and all that other sort of stuff. That's over, I think, once you pass a certain point.
Yes.
But now it becomes almost as hard. It's like you're just coming into your studio, if you're a dancer, let's say, and it's like, or what am I going to choreograph? What do I do?
What's my voice?
Yeah, what's my voice? Who am I?
Yeah.
And that's really hard.
When you're working on your voice, when you're developing a body of work, it's like, it's grindy, people.
Yeah,
it's not cute.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely not cute. But I just want to say this because, again, I want to demystify stuff for people because there's so many mistaken notions that I think can keep people paralyzed or keeping themselves as though they're not measuring up. They're not good enough. They have these comparison things that they do. So the reason that I'm saying this is because I believe, part of the artist journey is that tough work. And I want to go to this place next because it's one of my favorite parts of that book. Put your ass where your heart wants to be. Put your ass where your heart wants to be. I know you have a hate relationship with social, but I used that quote when I was talking about this book when it first came out. People were like, they lost their shit for good reason because that's what it's about.
Well, it's a simple way of saying just show up,
Yes.
If you want to be a writer, sit in front of the keyboard, put your ass in that place.
Yes.
And just grind it out, and eventually the muse will come to you,
Yes.
I believe the muse kind of flies over us every day and kind of looks down to see if we're working, if we're doing our work. And if we are, sooner or later, the magic will happen, I think.
I agree with you.
Welcome back to all of our loyal subscribers and any new people that have just stumbled across this. If you're new to the channel, what we do here is we take different clips that I found online and then I apply energy law to them so that you can see that the laws of energy are actually impacting your life in all kinds of different ways than you might be aware of. This week's clip is going to be Stephen Pressfield again, because he is just an endless wellspring of resistance quotes, because that's what he studies. And then we're going to take what he said and we're going to take it to another level by adding the actual energy law to what he is describing. So let's get to it.
I want you to walk us through like 1 month in when you're doing it, and then you realize how much work it's going to be. You've written this. Why did I start this thing? Everybody hits that, right? But no one really talks about it.
Yeah, there's definitely, that book, Do the Work, really was kind of about the predictable stages. And sort of what you were just saying, Marie, about the book you're working on now and it's kicking your butt.
Yeah.
I can kind of tell you, just from the little you've said, you're at a very predictable stage, which is at closing in on the finish line.
Totally.
And that's where it's a predictable stage where resistance is really going to be high. Obviously, at the start, you have resistance. Then it's sort of, to me, I analogize it to sailing like Columbus, sailing off into the ocean. Once you get beyond sight of land, that's the second point. Suddenly you look back and there's no land anymore and you don't know where the Indies are and you go, oh my God, what have I done? That's a second point of resistance. Then another one is the Act 2 miseries, when you're sort of halfway through. What David Mamet says is, it's hard to remember that you set out to drain the swamp when you're up to your ass in alligators, And that's so that's another predictable moment when you're right in the middle of something and you're so far from the beginning, you've forgotten the fun of the beginning, and you're so far from the end, you think you're never going to make it. Plus, everything becomes really complicated in the middle for some reason. I don't know why.
The messy middle.
And you really got to slog through that. And then when you get to the end, and then even when that's, just before the finish line, it's like hitting the wall in a marathon at mile 24, or whatever that is. And So I would say to you, remember, you just got to push through it. Here's another little trick for whatever this is worth.
Yes.
Because this used to be my problem for years and years, was I couldn't finish anything. I'd get right to the 1 yard line and I'd fumble the ball on the 1 yard line. And one trick I sort of learned is sometimes you don't think you're done, but you're done. It's like I had an agent who used to say to me, "How are you close?" And I'd say, "Yeah, I'm close." He'd say, "Close is good enough. Give it to me." So sometimes we torture ourselves and think, "Oh, I got to get that last cherry on the top." And really, you can almost do that 3 weeks from now. But turn it in, ship it, as Seth Godin says.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that.
I just get so excited when I hear people who have spent so much time considering resistance say things like, "I don't know why it's so complicated in the middle and why resistance gets so high, and I don't know why." Well, we know why. Everybody watching this channel knows why. It's because it's actually energy law. That's why it's doing it. Because in this whole clip, it's all about phase 2 again, the action phase. If current is constant and resistance increases, potential difference must increase. So the reason that as you approach the finish line, you hit a wall like he's describing, it's because the entire time that you're in constant action, as the resistance increases, your potential increases, and you're going back and forth like this as your potential is trying to overcome the resistance itself. So you're in the middle of your venture, and it is a very predictable stage. Everything you think is going to happen happens, plus 10 other things you didn't consider, and all the things you didn't consider are a new resistance, a new resistance, a new resistance, a new resistance. And then your potential is just trying to catch up with it all the time. And that wall that you hit is that moment where you're just totally ready to freaking quit, and your just brain is ready to fry because the pressure is so high, because potential is also pressure. The pressure is increasing and increasing, and you're just hitting that wall because you just go, "I can't do it anymore." And then all of a sudden you break through past it. And in that moment that you're breaking through past it, you're elevating beyond the action constant reality into the potential constant reality, because your potential has just finally become greater than the resistance you're engaging. All of your constant actions' final goal is the establishing of a greater potential. So while you're in that action phase, the messy middle, as he says, you are just pushing and pushing and pushing, and you're becoming pressurized and pressurized, and the entire time your brain is just screaming because you just think you can't do it, or you just want to quit because that resistance is, you're right on the cusp of breaking through it. You're just about to blow past it. And the second that you blow past it and go up to the next higher level, then the resistance starts to decrease, because now your potential is greater than it. And then as you continue to focus your energy on that resistance, it starts to become overcome. It's a beautiful, beautiful, elegant system once you are aware that what he's saying, "I don't know why," there's a completely logical reason to why. And it's the law itself. You really, really, really have to start looking at everything on these terms, because once you do, you can understand that it's not a magical ability. It's just a logical series of cause-effect results. Now, it's important to acknowledge that most of the time you don't actually establish that new potential and overcome that resistance on your first effort. When you stop focusing your energy on the resistance you've chosen to overcome, one of two things happens. You either lower to the bottom phase of the action constant reality, where if current is constant and resistance decreases, potential difference decreases. What that looks like is the scenario where you've been fighting this battle, you've been duking it out with the resistance, you're trying to become pressurized to it, and you finally say, "Screw this, I can't do this, this is just crap." So then you run away from the problem, you disengage, you just say, "I am freaking done," and you just walk away. That scenario is the second that your energy that you're focusing stops getting focused on the resistance and you focus it on getting the hell out of there, that's flight. That's where you run away to get away from the problem. The other option is that the resistance that you're encountering is just completely overwhelming. And you just say, I am done. Like, this is so much more than I ever thought it was going to be, and I just can't handle this. So if you're focusing all of your energy and you cannot become pressurized, you still go up to the higher potential constant reality, because the potential you've established is still going to be greater than when you started, because you've learned all of these things along the way, but you just haven't established enough potential to overcome the resistance. But in that case too, you go up to the potential constant reality, but you're on the lower aspect of it. So if potential is constant and resistance increases, current decreases. In that scenario, the resistance of the obstacle that you've been trying to overcome has gotten higher than you are capable of becoming pressurized to, at which point current decreases. You stop engaging with it. That is where you either have run away from the problem, avoided it in the action constant reality, or you just kind of short circuit and go like, wow, like I can't do this. Most times though, in that scenario, you just fall back down to the beginning and you take another run at it with a little bit more knowledge than you had the first time. Everything you learn when you encounter and engage in resistance that increases your potential through your focused action is a transferable skill that you get to keep with you. That's why it's an amazing system. It's completely just and lawful in every way. As long as you're willing to put out the energy, even if you don't completely overcome the resistance on the first attempt, you still have that incremental increase in potential from the things that you did learn, even though you ended up either running away or stopping. Maybe you just need to recoup for a little bit, gather your thoughts, figure out what the hell was that? What did I just do? And then figure out a new approach to attack the resistance again. You have an obstacle, you focus all of your energy on that obstacle, and as you're doing that, your potential is slowly increasing, because every time you approach the obstacle, you need to figure out a new way to chip away at it and overcome it and become greater than it. And then as you do that, some inevitable thing that you didn't plan on throws another bit of resistance on top of it, and that resistance goes up again. And then your potential is sitting there going, your brain's going, no, because all you want to do is overcome it, but you haven't yet. So you're in a constant war in your mind with, when is this going to finally be over? Like he says, it's the messy middle. In the first phase, where resistance is constant, that resistance exists solely to inspire you into action. And the second that you are in action, the intensity of the resistance you're engaging is there to force you to grow. And the final stage of resistance in the potential constant reality is you hitting your limit. But we'll talk about that in a future video. I just love Steven Pressfield, man. It's amazing. He just really needs to have this law, and anyone who is into his work, you really need to be sharing these videos with anyone you know that also is on the same path that he has created. Because by his own admission, he doesn't know why it is this way. He just sees that it is this way. But through these lectures, we're showing you the why. And once you understand the why resistance is there and its role, it can only empower you, because increased potential is more personal power for yourself. It's a great clip. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure to visit our website, Seniorthinktank.ca. There's all kinds of resources there so that you can learn about how the actual law of energy is affecting all the different aspects of your life. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.